Every plant on Earth survives under a brutal biological constraint. They are obligate autotrophs chained to a fixed location. They cannot flee predators, migrate toward water, or hunt for calories. To survive absolute immobility, an organism cannot rely on behavior. It must rely on architecture. A plant functions as a highly engineered passive system designed to extract physical resources from the soil below and the sky above, simultaneously, all without ever moving a muscle. We are going to reverse engineer this biological machine. We will look at how a living structure achieves massive scale, constant growth, and resource distribution without a central nervous system to make decisions or a cardiovascular pump to move fluids. To understand the mechanics of this system, we start at the microscopic foundation, the cellular chassis, before scaling up to its internal vascular plumbing and finally analyzing the macroscopic plant organs. Every leaf and branch represents a specialized architectural solution to the problem of permanent immobility. This handwritten diagram highlights the primary microscopic building block that differentiates plants from animals, the cell wall. Composed primarily of cellulose, this outer casing is dead and rigid. That rigidity is an evolutionary prerequisite. It provides the structural integrity required to stack millions of cells and grow vertically against the downward pull of gravity. Inside this rigid cage sit the internal engines, known as plastids. These organelles serve as the functional hubs of the plant cell, dividing labor to keep the system running. The notes outline 3 specific variations of these engines. Chloroplasts contain the green pigment required to capture solar radiation. Chromoplasts carry vibrant colors to attract pollinators. Leucoplasts remain colorless and act as internal storage units for starch and oil. These 2 microscopic elements, a rigid, dead cage surrounding a highly specialized energy center, dictate the exact physical limitations of the organism. Every subsequent tissue and organ must be built to accommodate them. The dead cell wall guarantees physical structure, while living plastids provide purpose. Stacking rigid cells creates an immediate physics problem. How do you transport water and heavy soil nutrients hundreds of feet vertically into the air without a pumping heart to generate pressure? Looking at this biological flowchart, we see how isolated cells organize. The structure splits from growing tissue into permanent structural tissues. Past the simple ground tissues lies the internal transport network, the complex tissues, split into 2 highways. These notes detail the first highway, the xylem. Operating on passive physical forces, it acts as a one-way street, pulling water exclusively upwards from the root system to the canopy. The second highway is the phloem. Unlike the rigid xylem, the phloem is a multi-directional network. It takes synthesized food created in the canopy and pushes it downward and outward to sustain the organism. These systems run parallel to each other inside the stem, yet they remain strictly separate infrastructures. One moves raw materials up, the other moves finished fuel down. Together, this dual highway vascular plumbing represents a passive transport system that moves tons of water and mass every day without the need for muscular contraction. That upward flow of water terminates in the leaves. This is the precise location where the plant executes its core biological mandate, capturing energy. This chemical equation outlines photosynthesis, converting ambient gas into solid mass. You can map these inputs directly onto the plant's anatomy. Carbon dioxide enters microscopic leaf pores called stomata, while water arrives from underground via the xylem. Inside the leaf cells, the green chloroplasts, operating with magnesium at their chemical core, act as microscopic kitchens. They trap incoming solar radiation and use that thermal energy to force the water and carbon dioxide to bond. The reaction yields 2 outputs. The plant generates glucose for cellular growth and cleaves the oxygen away from the water molecules, expelling it outward as a waste byproduct. This massive global engine is strikingly efficient. It requires roughly 1% of the available ambient sunlight to run continuously. Photosynthesis provides the structural carbon the plant uses to physically assemble its own body. This introduces a mechanical paradox. The plant is constantly synthesizing massive amounts of glucose and building new tissues. Yet, without a brain or nervous system, How does the organism coordinate where to grow taller or when to thicken its trunk? The answer lies in phytohormones. Plants utilize a chemical control system that dictates every phase of their physical development based on environmental triggers. In this animated diagram, we can visualize where these regulators operate. Auxins concentrate at branch tips, directing vertical growth. Lower down, gibberellins command lateral growth, thickening the main stem so the plant can support its weight. To prevent runaway growth, cytokinins act as the braking system, moderating cell division. As the organism matures, ethylene, an ambient gas, triggers the chemical breakdown that ripens the fruit. When seasons change, abscisic acid forces leaves to the catch to conserve water, while florigens command the blooming of reproductive flowers. This distributed chemical network functions as a decentralized brain, synchronizing morphology with external environmental cues. The morphology we observe, the outward expression of the plant, is simply the visible result of the internal engineering we've discussed. These sketches illustrate how basic anatomical structures adapt. Roots evolved beyond simple water extractors. In many species, they became massive underground energy vaults, known as taproots, storing excess glucose in the thick, conical shapes seen in carrots or radishes. Stems are not always vertical wooden pillars. To protect their biological core from frost or herbivores, many plants evolved underground stems. Tubers like potatoes, rhizomes like ginger, and bulbs like onions are modified stems hiding beneath the soil layer. The delicate leaves and vibrant flowers positioned above ground are the endpoints of this architecture, designed for maximum surface area for transpiration, light capture, and reproduction. Every shape a vegetable or tree takes is a specific morphological solution to the problem of storing the energy created by its biochemical engine. But the complete, multi-layered architectural model we just built, the vascular highways and the hormone regulators, is actually a modern evolutionary luxury. This flowchart maps the plant kingdom's evolutionary timeline. On the far left sit the thallophytes, ancient algae surviving without roots, stems, or leaves. Tracing upward, we reach the tracheophytes, the lineage that developed the xylem and phloem systems to dominate dry land. The dominant flora of our modern era, the angiosperms, are the organisms that successfully integrated all the cellular, vascular, and hormonal systems into a single unified chassis. The journey spans from a primitive organism huddled in a puddle, relying on a dead cell wall, to a towering, chemical-driven, self-sustaining autotroph capable of pulling thousands of gallons of water up into the sky. The green background of our planet functions as a resilient, highly engineered biological infrastructure.